Ready?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crypto Week in Review of the 7th of May. Today, I have the pleasure to invite a really good roast of guests in order to speak about the actuality of crypto. So from the left to the right, we have Nicolas Chan from Refinable, Veronica Wang from SafePal, one of the best wallet, hardware wallet, Luca Constantino from Oasis Lab, if I don't get me wrong, and also Tim from the Arcan project. Hello, guys. How are you?
Doing well.
Doing well.
Doing great.
Always busy these days.
Yeah, perfect. So this week the market has been quite edgy. We have quite some news that happened. How would you from a roundtable and maybe in one or two sentences, how would you resume this week in terms of crypto and in terms of what happens, etc., in your sentiments?
Yeah, I can go first. So I think this week is super exciting. I think you have a lot of new all-time highs with Dogecoin and Ethereum, and you have a lot of new partnerships from from PayPal as well as eBay looking to go in. So I think I'm generally an optimist. So it's super good to finally see a lot of good action from existing companies trying to get in. And I think the more optimistic behaviors that we have, I think the better the future for tomorrow is going to be.
Yeah, and we are seeing quite positive feedback from the community, and the bull market and the bullish atmosphere has been going longer than expected. New big players are entering the space, and ETH has welcomed the new all-time high. So yeah, it's quite a positive week, and yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, likewise. There's been a exciting week for the crypto market. Aside from the all-time high, I think we've seen a lot of good development, a lot of good progress. So yeah, the trajectory seems to be at a new inflection point basically every couple of months again. So that's very encouraging, especially for people who have been in blockchain for years now. I think this quarter is representing like a shift in the perception, usage, and development of blockchain.
Yeah, completely agree. I actually am not very aware about the market's sentiment and all-time highs of the currencies, since we're more working as a technology provider. And what I'm so excited about is the companies like PayPal indeed coming into the space, where we really see market adoption next to the price of using blockchain technology, and that is really exciting.
Yeah, let's go deeper about this news. We resumed a little bit what we were going to speak about in this front panel, I think, because it was the main point. The first point I want to discuss with you, because it's interesting, it's crunchy, it's about the Dogecoin ATH. So basically, the price surge, we know that Elon Musk is pumping high the coin. What would explain what happened? What do you see in the future for Dogecoin? For you, where it is, it's one currency that we love to hate and we hate to love as well. So what's your impression about it?
I guess I can go first again. So I think Dogecoin is such an interesting, experiment. It's essentially a social experiment, right? There's nothing much behind it, and it kind of shows sort of this example where the more people believe in something, the more real and the more tangible it gets. It's one of those, those psychology experiments where do you vote in to really gain benefits on a group level, or do you basically vote out to benefit your own individual wallet, right, with some other coins? So I do think Doge is such a good example of what can happen if just people come together and just believe in something. So imagine it's something that doesn't have a lot of strong fundamentals, but people coming together to band behind the concept of decentralized ledgers or NFTs or something else. I think this is just such a great beginning for what is going to happen for the rest of 2021.
I completely agree. If I remember correctly, there was a couple of months ago, we were working with a company, Decentralized Dance Party. And essentially what they are doing or wanted to do is also create peace bonds. And the base currency that they wanted and needed to use was Dogecoin. And that was all part of the philosophy, as in it has to be Doge, because it was underpinning their own philosophy of what you want to build with these peace bonds. Anti-government, anti-control, fully decentralized. And that is something that is part of that social experiment. So I really do believe it's not just a pump from Elon Musk. There are a lot of believers out there behind the coin. we are losing our moderator, I guess. So maybe you have to carry on ourselves. Veronica, what's your thoughts?
From a tokenomics kind of model, I've heard a lot of criticism surrounding the Dogecoin, saying that there's barely any value behind this token. There's no technical breakthrough behind it, and the holders are highly concentrated in the top 10 addresses. I have heard all of these criticisms in the community, but I partially agree with all of them, but there are some elements missing from these comments. So firstly, it's been bull market. So the bull market has raised the entire crypto market and increased the crypto penetration. As more big players like Tesla, PayPal, eBay are entering the market, the BSC and ATH welcomes their new all-time high. New audience are rushing into this market, including a new wave of community users and retail investors. So compared to BSC and ETH, Dogecoin would be a more friendly for retail investors because it's much cheaper than other mainstream currencies. And it's a representative of a community-driven token that represents the mimic culture. So this is the key to the virus-like spreading model among the Doge community. So think about the previous GME event. So the decentralization has brought a new power to the community and the wider range of consensus. So combining with a relatively lower threshold price point for people to enter into and a strong community-driven atmosphere and combining the bull market. So there's no wonder that Dogecoin becomes the number 4 right now, the top top 4 cryptocurrency and ideal to start assets for retail investors and beginners. So the hot shilling of Elon Musk has indeed fuels the whole Dogecoin race. But I think the Elon Musk is too big of attraction. So he can literally push any random token in a few tweets. Like earlier today, Elon shouted like in a tweet saying that he wants a Shiba pop. So suddenly a token called Shiba token was pulled like 10% off to the sky. So, but shilling is one thing, keeping it up is another. So we wait and see. So the popularity and price surge of Dogecoin is chemistry blending different elements. It goes way beyond the tokenomics. It's quite interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have a question for it. I guess I can point this question to Luca. Is basically, Ether hits all-time high as well this week. So what are your thoughts on that? And essentially, are you more excited about Dogecoin reaching all-time highs or Ether?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of already know my answer, right? Like I'm gonna say Doge for sure. No, just joking. No, for sure. Like the Ethereum is an incredible project, right? And even if I work for another layer one, I think the adoption and the network and the capabilities that Ethereum is bringing, the ecosystem and the interoperability with other networks, whether it's driven by the foundation or whether it's driven by the community, it's impressive, right? We can spend hours talking about the limitations of Ethereum and why there are many more ways to add to what Ethereum has today, via like for instance like additional chains, additional layer ones, etc. But the reality is that if Ethereum is successful, it's a win for the entire blockchain space, right? No matter what you do. So the new all-time high, it's very interesting. It's very interesting because it follows some very simple math, right? I mean, it's very like there is no pricing model right now for cryptocurrencies that makes sense for every cryptocurrencies, but Ethereum has a lot of numbers that are growing, that are showing why this new all-time high is justified by pre-organic growth. Now, I see some challenges ahead, right? I think one of the primary metrics is the amount of money that the miners extract, which to me is kind of a tricky metric because at the same time reveals efficiency and inefficiency, right? So it's very hard to use the metric as a sign of success and be okay with that. But nonetheless, like there are alternatives ways to do it, and there are also analogies in the real world, right? Like you can say that when you consider the amount of money that other protocols make, I don't know, you can think of the payment industry, for instance, right? You can say, oh, this is like a good metric. The fact that Visa is settling more transactions and making more money out of that, it's a good metric. But you can also say, oh, like it's a tax on the internet, which is not the argument for people who are it's a tax on the payment, which is an argument now that people are pulling sort of against Stripe, right? So you can make whatever argument. I think the next evolution of Ethereum would be interesting because they will have to kind of like make the network more usable and fast and cheaper, while at the same time having to deliver more to justify even higher valuations. So that trade-off is going to be interesting to witness. There's probably like different routes where this can go, but yeah, it's going to be probably the most interesting crypto economics to witness in the next year or so.
I'm reading the comments here, Nicholas. It turns out you look like CZ.
That's a great compliment. I hope one day to actually look like CZ.
Yeah, I think it's a great compliment too.
Not all Asians look alike, guys. Well, I guess we have another question. The next topic of discussion, I guess we had planned, is really just about the big enterprise updates that we have from I guess PayPal as well as eBay. So I guess I can throw this question to Tim. So what are your thoughts on essentially eBay basically saying that they're open to accepting cryptocurrencies, as well as PayPal just talking about launching a stablecoin?
I think this is finally where we're out of the early stages of blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and we're going to start into the early majority. These are big companies, very big companies. They need a lot of time before they can wrap their heads around the technology, before they can actually introduce it to the mass audience. And it's them coming in that we see the widespread adoption of blockchain technology. So I can only see this as a good thing. And I think most of us in the crypto or in the blockchain space in the past 5, 6, 7 years have said this is coming. And now finally, and we'll have to see, as in when will it really be used or available or brought to us by those companies, because you can say it and you can do it. Those are two different things, though.
Sure. Veronica, I think this kind of relates back into SafePal, because this is like a great on-ramp into more users and therefore more wallets as well.
Yes, I have to say it's a great thing to hear those big players entering the ecosystem. An obvious kind of difference between 3 years ago and now is that talking about a life story. When we entered the crypto space 3 years ago, it was the tail of the last bull market in 2017, and the market was going to bear. And a lot of my friends and also my former colleagues doubted our choices in entering the crypto space, and they typically thought it was a scam or a kind of cheating technology. So it's kind of gonna be a thin air, and it's gonna be vanished very soon. But like 3 years later, the same group of colleagues came to me asking, how do I buy Bitcoin and how do I buy ETH and which token should I hold? So it's obviously bringing a lot more audience and bringing a new wave of consensus to the community. So it helps to enlarge the cake and increase the crypto adoption. It's just amazing. So yeah, I agree with Tim. It's already here, and it's just a fresh start. We look forward to the new bright future of the crypto industry. Talking about regulation, it should definitely be stronger, because the crypto adoption is certainly catalyzing the regulatory evolution. So to my view, it's a good thing as well. So a new industry certainly cannot healthily grow without any compliance. We need some basic rules on how to behave and what is the right way to perform and what the right way to evolve in the long run. So it's bridging the traditional world with the new blockchain economy. So we all need to learn to embrace the regulation and join forces to push the industry toward a brighter future. So that is partially a good thing to know. Yeah. So what about you, Nick? I guess it's a fresh start this year for Refinable, and what's your opinion on the new crypto adoption? I guess in the NFT crypto space, definitely crypto adoption is one major topic that we need to look into, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's I always tell people that I think right now we exist at a very unique point in time where there's a lot of these macro factors in play that really help sort of introduce blockchain to people. I think right now people have a lot of time just because of blockchain. People have a lot of capital lying around because they're not spending as much. And people just have a lot of interest in NFTs. And I think NFTs is a great on-ramp for a lot of retail people to have a tangible use case for why or how blockchain plays into their lives. And I think right now all these three factors is a huge contributor to why people are actually looking into the space. They're looking at key opinion leaders like Elon Musk or whoever else. And I do think this is a great on-ramp into introducing a lot of people into blockchain via NFTs. And so I do think my team is at a very unique place where we are focusing a lot on figuring out a lot of the proof of concepts for how we can leverage NFTs to create tangible use cases for real world people, and really trying to act as an on-ramp for a lot of people that have never engaged with cryptos before. I think I always tell my team that there's way more people who have never heard of MetaMask than people who have. That is a key point that people that work in the industry don't really realize. And so I think that is a huge untapped market for us. That is a market that I would like to educate and also let them know how to think about NFTs and blockchain in the future. And I think these few months is actually very pivotal because it's showing that people are actually building on top of these systems. There is general acceptance into the area. Of course, you mentioned regulations are coming in, which are all basically signs of this industry maturing. And especially in the NFT space, where I think regulations are still very questionable or a very gray area, I think it'll be super interesting to see how we actually come out of this.
Yeah, let's keep it that way. People not knowing about MetaMask.
Yeah, sorry. Like, I have to excuse myself. My connection crashed just at the beginning of the live, so maybe we're gonna have some surprise.
Oh, is David coming back?
David's gone. He's on a new high.
Oh no, not enough fiat, too much crypto.
Yeah.
Nah, but yeah.
He's on a new all-time high.
Traveling to another universe. But yeah, I guess.
I saw a new topic already.
I guess I could throw this question to Luca. I mean, Refundable is starting the NFT marketplace. I mean, there's huge sort of frenzy with NFTs right now. I think it started around February with people and just all these different drops that are coming in. And I think there's a lot of people looking to go in. So what are your thoughts in terms of, how this is going to develop with the mainstream players, with people that are not even in NFTs, or how do you see this affecting the industry as a whole?
Yeah, I see maybe three possible developments for actually three effects that NFTs are definitely bringing. The first one is that I'm not gonna lie when I say that everyone literally in my network reach out to me asking about NFTs. Like for 2 weeks, you couldn't walk around without hearing the term NFT, reading the term NFT in your Amazon little display in the house, or on Facebook, on LinkedIn, even like people working in many different sectors. You can think of art, you can think of media, you can think of collectibles, again, like just posting stuff about NFTs, educational pieces that were not backed by any economical incentive. So I think it has been extremely astonishing to receive calls from your mom saying like, hey, I read about this thing, like that is NTF. What is it? NTF, like stuff like that, right? So for the first time, it was kind of a conversation that was away from the technology, and it was more dedicated to the use case. And people started saying, "Oh wow, it's super cool! I can buy, like that collectible of that sport team. I can keep it. I can be an owner of that." So that has been like a push towards adoption. The second thing is that for the first time, some people have realized that blockchain is much more than cryptocurrencies, and is much more than a money movement driven by speculation or some use cases. But people have been starting to appreciate this idea of ownership of certain assets, whether they're physical in the digital world or like digitally native, doesn't really matter. And the third one is that people are starting to come up with this connection between the real world and the blockchain, right? Those three things have happened in the space of maybe like 2 to 3 weeks. Now there are plenty of companies that are now being like either a marketplace for NFTs, whether they're general marketplaces or more curated marketplaces. That will be the next trend. But one thing that people, in my opinion, haven't really realized yet is the connection between the data and the NFTs, the information and the NFTs. And what I mean by that is, you can use the blockchain to peg a certain asset to a token. And so you can say, this token represents 1/10 of an invoice, or 1/10 of a PDF, or 1/10 of a collectible, or 1/10 of like sharing a company, right? You can create all these logics. But the part that people haven't realized is that the value that that token represent depends on the data very often. The data could be, could be how much money a artist has made this week by streaming songs on Spotify. that determination of money to token value is going to be determined by the data. You can think of situations where you say, this token represents like a 10% of an invoice, and the content of that invoice is again data that will determine what that NFT is going to be worth, and what value is going to be accruing. And I think that's an extremely important way, because if you think of other situations where there are networks that allow exchanging information and money, right? Over time, these networks have become more powerful than the actual places where this money is stored, right? You can think of, again, the payment network versus banks. Now Visa has higher market cap than banks. So banks is what store the value, and Visa is what transfer information and money again. So when you start thinking of all these logics, the word of NFT becomes like even 10 times more powerful than what it looked like in the last couple of weeks, because it goes away from exchanging something in a static way and moving into a direction that allows to program really whatever you want and whatever logics you want, as long as you have this connection between the real world and the NFT via the data. So that's one of the concepts that we promote at Oasis and Oasis Labs. And so I'm very happy to expand on that if people have questions or if someone want to reach out to me later.
Did you guys hear the joke? If you walk down the streets in San Francisco and you shout out NFT 3 times, 10 VCs run up to you with a term sheet? But that is in fact a little bit true, because there are 1001 use cases with NFTs. And you see with artists.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead, David.
Yeah, if I can stay with my internet connection. But basically, for me, NFT, it's not only like a buzzword. It's not going to be something that's going to maybe, disappear or something like that. For me, the NFT didn't leave 1/10 of the use case yet. It's still a beta technology. We didn't put a lot of content inside of NFT at the current stage of NFT. We are really on beta mode. And to make an analogy, it's like the 2013 of Bitcoin for me, where it was an asset that was that you can represent. But for now, the use case were not all linked together. The system of marketplace, etc. And Nicolas, you know the subject better than me, is not as stable. And so for me, the technology of NFT will live its biggest year in the next year to come. Yeah.
Yeah, it has so many potentials, right? We already see it being used as a marketing tool. So if you have a brand apparel from a specific influencer, what you can do is you can create the same shirts and hoodies in the form of NFTs. They send out the NFTs, and then they can have a redeem process. But all the fans that say, okay, I really want the physical item, they then swap the NFT for the physical item. But the fans that say, well, thank you for this one, but I already have a hoodie in my closet, I actually want to put this on the marketplace, that still provides value both to the brand, because it exposes brand awareness to other fans inside the ecosystem. And they like that resale value, because you're doing a promotion, but the one that says, well, for me, I don't want the physical product, I would like to resell it. Both the buyer or the receiver of the promotion and the promotee actually win. And that is one of the things that we see that is making NFT so popular nowadays.
Yes, and also the fact that you can combine, fuse later on the process. We speak NFT are really a gamification object, are really an object to trigger action and then action and then action, and to get knowledge about someone. And me, I'm really interested about what's going to happen when we're going to be able to fuse, combine, destroy, assemble NFT together in order to provide a user experience for everyone that is either gamified but also about serious use case.
Yeah, interactive entertainment within the gaming space. That's what we're super excited about.
Yeah, and also on the real life, all objects can be NFT, and some objects are really bound to be NFT. Proof of address are bound to be an NFT at some point, or something that represents it. All those official documents. So knowing how to merge them to create a new NFT that validates something for an administration, etc., could be really interesting experience in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, can't agree more. If cryptocurrency is the first kind of true utility for blockchain technology, then NFT is the next generation for blockchain technology mass adoption, because it's overlapping music, art, games, content creation, fan membership, fan clubs, and all kinds of IP altogether. So it has such a wide range of audience waiting to explore, and those IPs are still waiting for the right chance. And it comes back to the regulation, because we have been keeping track of like some local governments about their attitude about NFT, and NFT actually gives or creates a new space for regulation and compliance, because some local governments, for example, Chinese governments, are actually thinking about launching their own NFT platforms, which is quite interesting, because Chinese government has been quite cautious about the cryptocurrency regulation and compliance. So NFT definitely opens up a new possibility for the mass adoption for the technology. But there are a lot of underlying problems talking about like user education, because I used to be like buying my first NFT, and it was quite a struggle. So for new beginners to own their first NFT, they have to suffer a lot of pains. So the user experience is like crazily terrible. So I kind of look forward to see if there's any platform who can blend a smooth user experience and also a decentralized manner in a perfect way, so that that would open up the bottleneck for user mass adoption. Because right now a lot of NFT fans have come to us asking like, how do I buy this? Like, what is a gas token? Like, what is the gas fee? There are a lot of technical know-how and knowledge background that is waiting to like be tutored to these new beginners. So this has become a new bottleneck for the NFT adoption. So we have also seen some platforms adopting centralized kind of mechanism like Nifty Gateway, but this has also opens up a new security concerns. Like in March, Nifty Gateway was hacked, like users losing their NFT assets. There's no way to trace it back. So there are a lot of like user education and security problems surrounding this. So yeah, looking forward to some new projects or maybe some new partners and new kind of technology who can gear up the user adoption and to provide a new kind of user experience compared to the traditional.
Finally, you know, the Binance platform is going to come in June, and
yeah,
create.
Looking forward to that.
And that.
When can we hear more updates on this? I only see one PR post. Can't wait to learn more. You know.
I would say that I progress of reflection on every week on NFT every day, and also we made an announcement yesterday about Alphonse Davis that's going to launch his own Binance on the NFT market.
Sounds great.
Wow.
Sounds like that.
Oh, I think it's
my audio. You all. Excuse me. Tell me.
Oh, I think David's just going to restart his router again. But no, I think it's super interesting that Binance is looking to go into NFTs. I spoke with the Binance team. You know, I think they bring a pretty good value proposition in terms of liquidity. I think Binance has access to so many users that are KYC. It has a lot of liquidity on their platform. So I think it makes a lot of sense in a more centralized manner. But I do think this is more exciting in terms of once you really go into the NFT space, you realize that a lot of platforms have sort of a thesis in engaging with NFTs. And I think it kind of highlights different nuances that can really appear. I mean, even in the US, there's at least 5 or 6 major NFT platforms out there. And I think there's more and more sort of market share to be had. I think more people are coming into NFTs and just creating all of these platforms that, you know, should be one is better than the other, than the other, than the other. I think at the end of the day, you're going to have this super, super nice experience that sort of ties everything in together. So I think it's super, super interesting that you guys also, I think Tim was the one that raised like NFT is a great marketing asset or a tool to really leverage. And I think that is super, super on point with us. I think right now we're exploring a lot of special use cases with different brands. I think specifically, you know, even within gamification, right? There's always there's elements of using NFTs for storytelling. There's elements of NFTs for live events engagement. And I think there's always a question of, you know, I think Veronica touched upon this. There's still a huge sort of hurdle into introducing MetaMask, introducing different wallets, you know, SafePower, another wallet, you know, to just get people in it. I think there is a huge hurdle for this. It does take a little bit of tech savviness to get in. Not sure if my parents would be able to do it, but I think there's a lot of young kids that are looking to go in, and I think they just need a good experience and a good excuse to sort of guide them through the process. So I think that's a super interesting problem and a problem that we're kind of facing right now.
Don't you offer that at Refinable, Nicholas?
Oh, say that again.
Don't you offer that at Refinable as in a good onboarding experience?
Yeah, so I mean, we do, but the whole point about the wallets, we don't offer a wallet solution, and so we still rely.
We can help you out on that.
Yeah, let's definitely do it. I mean, we're already talking to the guys at the gals at SafePal, and
but
so
that's for a hardware wallet, right?
Yes, hardware wallet, wallet link.
Yeah,
perfect to store your NFT assets.
We should work all together. We'll give you the software wallet, logging with Google, Twitter, Facebook, or email, and that really solves that problem for user onboarding. I don't know if you know this, but with the Sandbox, which is one of the more popular games, we've onboarded more than 100,000 users for them in the past few weeks, months. So we onboard about 1,000 players per day for them.
Awesome. So you guys are doing single sign-on with essentially software wallets.
Yeah.
So we did consider some of these wallet solutions as well. I think that is something that we're actually very interested in. But on the flip side, there's always people that prefer having a little bit anonymous onboarding for whatever reasons. So I think we were trying to balance it out, but we're definitely interested in saying.
But that's perfect, right? If you see what the Sandbox does, they have a sign-in button. And then they have MetaMask for the crypto savvy, and then they have the socials, Google, Twitter, Facebook, right next to it, and people can just choose whatever floats their boat. And 9 times out of 10, people choose Google or Twitter, and that's how they sign in, and then they create a blockchain wallet right out of the box while never leaving the application. And that's one of the key benefits. You want to stay within the application.
Oh, definitely. I think that's something we're definitely interested in. I think right now the team is mostly busy on making sure our contracts are secured. I think they're already audited. I think I'm pushing out a couple more platform features. We're looking to do essentially our official launch in around 2 weeks, hopefully. Doing our community beta testing right now. So I think we're just making sure everything is stabilized before we engage more and more wallet integrations. But yeah, let's have that conversation after this.
Indeed. I hear that you guys are going on Binance if I read the chats. When Binance.
I can't comment on these things.
Come on, CZ, you can do it.
Tagging him.
I honestly think every Asian guy that comes on here, people are saying, "Oh, he looks like CZ." I think last time someone else on the Binance team was on here, and I was like, "Oh my god." I don't know. I think it's great that the crypto community has a sense of humor. I think we're all building here. I think the world is really dependent on builders rather than people who are sitting down and talking with regulators. So it's always great to talk to other projects that are always looking to sort of push the boundaries of where we're at right now. So it's super cool to have met you guys.
In all honesty, we are worried about regulation, but in the sense that we try to follow the regulation. Because if you look at what OpenSea is doing right now, we're not 100% sure where this would fall in the regulatory stance. And what you want to see is how can you actually combine coming in using fiat money and then having the correct ways to actually go from fiat to crypto and actually be trading these NFTs and these cryptocurrencies, where in the end that everything will eventually be a KYC and AML compliant, because we are a custody provider, right, as a wallet service. And when we're then looking at it as in saying, how are you ever going to be KYC compliant when you're using something like MetaMask?
Yeah, I think we run into some of those issues as well. I think we are having some of these conversations with our legal team as well on how to exactly do, because our company is mostly based in Hong Kong, and so if we're doing sort of NFT transactions, our users can be anywhere in the world. How exactly does copyright issues get handled? How exactly do commercial license or any of these kind of get handled in different jurisdictions? So I think right now it's really about doing whatever we can to be more in our approach, but also not limiting enough that people can't imagine what the use cases are. So I think the most important thing with NFTs is that people are still talking about fungibility, authenticity, provenance. I mean, these words don't really resonate with a lot of people. So the way I usually explain NFTs is that I really want to help them imagine the possibilities of what is possible with NFTs, right? Don't even talk about fungibility. Don't even talk about provenance, right? You have to let them know this is just a new tool that you can tell stories about, that you can engage people, that you can sell your products, you can sell your time. I mean, there's so many ways to really do it, and I think really. I think the worst thing that we can do is really start capping the imagination of what is possible with these things. And without the imagination, then there's no point in building a lot of these things too. So I think that's the approach that we take when it comes to adhering to regulations. So, I mean, if they do come in, I will definitely comply. But I think right now it's just about we need to start tickling imaginations all around the world about this.
Yeah, completely true.
Yeah,
sometimes I wish we were not in Europe.
One advice about regulation, since I'm here, basically, as long as it's not regulated, go really fast on the project, invade the space, and after regulations will gonna come with guidelines that you're gonna adapt. But you need to not hesitate when it's not written, is that you have to go there and create the rule yourself in order then that regulation come and adapt the space. Too much people wait for regulation to be written to then do stuff inside the space. Sometimes it's the opposite direction, and the technology proved us that.
Yeah, that's a very good feedback indeed. We're in that gray zone, right? Europe AML5 directive that we need to adhere to. We need to lobby with the regulators to say, okay, when do you need to do KYC as a wallet provider? When is that going to be important? Is that when we onboard the user and give them a wallet because we help support them to manage the private key? While there's zero assets in there, the answer is no. Is it because they have one game asset in there that is an NFT? These are ridiculous regulations that are coming on board, but we need to tackle them and talk to the regulators, because at the moment that the regulation is there, that can really kill your business. So, and then that is for a European company a very big issue, because if you're an American-based company, you don't fall under the same regulatory rules. So an American company or an Asian company, they can have free reign like that, but we as a European company have to say, okay, but no, because we are located over here, we are not allowed to actually do the same type of businesses, because we support the custody management of a wallet. But yeah, that's a little bit off topic.
Structuration can help many problems on that. Huh? I'm gonna just say that. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit on the BSC community updates. What are all your updates, Veronica? I think you've made some great progress on SafePal. What is next for you? What are the next steps for you?
Our user base has been growing exponentially since this January. I guess thanks to the bull market and also thanks to a few kind of successful campaigns that we have launched. So right now, our kind of hardware wallet sales has been covered to more than 145 countries, and the app downloads has exceeded 2 million. So we, in the first 3 years, we have completed every milestone that we have planned for ourselves. Including supported a bunch of blockchains, multi-language, cross-chain swap, in-app trading, buy crypto feature, and dApp store. So we started with the mission of enabling people to secure and grow their crypto assets. So we spent 3 years to complete the first half. So let people to secure and manage their crypto assets. So in the second half of this year, we are going to explore how to let people grow their crypto assets. So a lot of SafePal fans have known that we are actively working on the SafePal Earn. It's a new type of in-app APY aggregator to enable people to browse, to filter, and to participate in different DeFi and CeFi projects without leaving the app or without jumping into a third-party dApp. So this will be our primary focus in May and June. Along with it, we are also prepping for more blockchain support and wallet open source program. And also together, we're looking for more partnerships with prestigious kind of projects and new partners in the crypto space like Refinable, and definitely looking to work with Oasis and also Arcane. So it's quite interesting to see for the coming later half of this year. And we are also doing active experiments in the crypto space. So stay tuned.
Cool. Any other guys want to speak about the update? Nicolas, I think you talked a little bit, but do you want to go deeper?
Yeah, so I can give a little bit of update from our team. So we finished our token generation event, I think around a week and a half ago. So right now the team is just very busy on our private beta, making sure every day we're planning to essentially launch somewhat of a public beta, basically making sure that groups of users are coming in at a time, so we're not overloading our platform. And hopefully we're going to lead up to our official launch in around 2 weeks. So official launch is going to just let anyone basically go in and create. I think it's really just a test case for getting people to create on BSC. I think that's a much needed value proposition on the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem. And our team is also just very, very busy, just working on how to establish and plan and execute on these proof of concepts for these NFTs. So we're working with there's live events organizations. We're working with sort of galleries. We're working with different IP brands. I think I mentioned there's elements of storytelling and engagement that we really do want to do. And so that's the sort of area that we're working, sort of planning out in a very consultative or advisory standpoint on how exactly to execute these things. So we can kind of tickle the imagination of people all around. I think that's generally the goal that I have for at least this month. Oh, maybe to read it.
Yes, Luca, what about you? What is this news?
Yeah, we have a ton. So we dedicated last quarter and part of this quarter to update the infrastructure and do a ton of backend work that sadly doesn't really come up outside because it's a boring backend platform work that needs to be done because it will allow to expand in the future. So an example of this is we have this architecture that allows like very high scalability and privacy, and in order to do that, we need to separate the consensus and the compute layer to scale them independently, which is the most beautiful part of this flexible and scalable architecture. So one thing we've done this quarter is updating the SDK for every runtime that will run in parallel. So that is then the next step will be having these runtimes like share states and on top of sharing consensus. So they will be able to talk to each other, which is a fundamental feature for us because what happens is that every application that exists on another network can now, for instance, like Ethereum, can now port their contract in one of the runtimes super easily, but can also start. That's right, exactly. But then can also start integrating contracts that live in another runtime that offers like different and new properties, including confidentiality, including flexibility, including like speed of development. And so we minimize this switch from the old like EVM like Solidity to the WASM framework, which is extremely interesting. We signed a ton of new partnerships. We also expanded our enterprise API that runs on the blockchain. And so for an API, for an enterprise would be for enterprise or companies actually like smaller, would be super easy to come and use the blockchain without having to write any blockchain code, without having to write smart contracts or dealing with like faucets and complicated things. They will ingest an API and they will benefit from the blockchain, which is, I think, a super, super important piece of development, at least looking at what a ton of other companies have been doing in the past, even before blockchain. And the third area of work that we've been focusing a ton on is expanding the community, and even more importantly, expanding the relationship with the community. So we hired a couple of people on the foundation side that would be dealing with the community 10 times more than before via like town halls, chats, AMAs, and so on and so forth. So I think we're very excited about that because we cover 3 pillars that are super important: the backend, the application, like the ecosystem adoption, and the community relationships. So when you think of that, you have a ton of different situations from previous and from before.
Community is important. Huh? They do the roadmap at your place. Huh? They do the prioritization for you sometimes.
That's right.
Team,
that's right.
Team, in 2 minutes, because after I have 2 questions from the community that I really want to address. They are really interesting. What's your update?
All right, the updates. Well, we have 3 pillars in our offering as a tech provider, right? So we have the wallet services, we have the NFT management APIs, and we have the marketplace. What is coming up next? Well, support for Binance Smart Chain is already there for the wallet. Now, next thing is support for Binance Smart Chain in the marketplace. And last one is not only our marketplace, but also our marketplace APIs are coming up in 1 or 2 weeks. And that means that any business can use the marketplace APIs to build their custom marketplace, either on Binance Smart Chain, on Matic, on Ethereum, or a couple of others.
Speaking about this layer 1 blockchain, one question which was from Simon, one of our community members, is how do you see the future of the multiplayer 1 blockchain competing for the top spot? It's an interesting question. I wanted to have your opinion. Veronica, this subject is important for you as you're integrating a lot of people and a lot of technology inside your wallet. How do you see that?
David, can you please repeat the question? I guess I missed some part of it.
No problem. How do you see the future of the multiple layer 1 blockchains that are competing for the top spot? We see Matic, we see Ethereum, we see Binance with BSC, but we see also Solana, Solana is a layer 2, Polkadot, which is a layer 1, and other technologies that trying to get like the layer 1 battle. How do you see the disparity? How will you see this battle? Or maybe there is not going to be any battle and there's going to be an ecosystem of multiple solutions?
Interesting question. I see there are a lot of improvements, space for the layer 1 blockchain solution. For example, when we talk about NFT, right now there's no perfect blockchain for NFT applications. So I have been looking into Flow and also some other NFT-oriented blockchains. They provide a brand new kind of model of gas fee model of the enterprise-facing features. This will be really useful for the future mass adoption, which the current traditional blockchains or the early launched blockchain don't have. So I'm seeing a lot of potential of these layer 1 blockchain solutions, and I look forward to see more applications built on these blockchains. So for a wallet provider, as a hardware wallet provider, and also a kind of asset management platform, we look forward to integrate and embrace this layer 1 solution for the future mass adoption. So it's pretty exciting because we have seen a lot of applications and blockchain technology being launched, just like Luca just mentioned that Oasis has been working on the data mirroring from the physical world to the NFT crypto space. So this is also a major kind of leap toward the mass adoption in future. So yeah, we can't wait to see these applications on the blockchain, and SafePay will definitely be the first one to integrate and support this ecosystem.
Yeah, so I can add on to what Veronica mentioned, because I think Veronica mentioned sort of different ecosystems for, I guess, transacting on NFTs. So I think Flow is super interesting, and at least from a project standpoint, Refinable is really chain agnostic. I think Binance Smart Chain is a fantastic community to really launch in. I think when we first launched, I think it gave us the sort of operational nuances that we needed in order to give people an accessible environment to transact NFTs on. I think that's always been our North Star. And so, I mean, it really depends on where the community wants us to go. I think right now we're just so focused on building the foundation of the marketplace, and depending on how the industry moves, I think we're definitely very open to supporting other chains such as Flow or Ethereum, or whoever else we deem as what the community wants. So I think it's a lot about watching and responding in a very agile environment for our team to really see how the market evolves. I'm not sure if that would be the same answer as Tim, as Luca, or we give, but yeah, I'll throw this to them.
No, we are blockchain agnostic as well. We do have like a selection criteria to support multiple blockchains. And if you then look at something like Flow, this is something we see as a very different way of building a blockchain. So it has its own smart contract language. And so if we're going to support something like that, we really need to be 100% convinced. And we're not yet 100% there. We're a little bit slow on the ball on Flow compared to a couple of others, because other chains we see they're already public, have been developed on by external parties for a period of time. And with Flow, a lot of things are siloed still together. And we want to learn whether we want to see a couple of external parties to move on Flow first before we actually commit to it, because we're still a super small team and so much work to also integrate that one, since it's so different.
Yeah. Touch upon this story before, but I think Veronica pick up on that. And yeah, I think that that I want to stress is that the role of data and information in this expansion of the current state of tokenization of assets is a trend that I would bet on, because it allows a new set of possibilities. I think David before said NFTs haven't even captured 1/10 of the possibilities and the use cases, and I think even that is very optimistic, because I think 1/10 is kind of like, if we're at 10% of the market, we would be almost late, right? Even internet is not even at 10% of its own potential, if you think about it. So yeah, anyway, the use case of representing an asset on the blockchain, it's great because it confers like ownership, and it's really proven by now that when you confer ownership and you transfer ownership and you make ownership programmable, the set of behaviors like totally shift and change. But when you start adding one additional layer, which is you can program the value accrual to that token, I think it's pretty limitless, the number of things that you can do, right? You can already program, if you consider some DeFi protocols, you can already embed this logic saying like, hey, take 3% of my value of like 3% of a transaction fee and distribute it to token holders. So you can already embed that. Imagine when this programmability happens at NFT level for something that doesn't necessarily depend on that same ecosystem, but depends on when the money hits the bank account, take the money out and distribute it to token holders, or much more than that. And imagine how important this is when you don't have any relationship with your token holders, because you're not a bank who can, or like a company who can distribute that via broker, but can all happen in the range of your own application with the rules that you specify, with people you never met before, with people you don't have a relationship with people who can go on a secondary market and trade that token for money or other value with someone else that they haven't met, that doesn't belong to the same geography, that doesn't come for a handshake, doesn't sign a contract, and so on and so forth. So imagine how powerful it would be bringing this billions of people to this new market, regardless who they are, where they are, and so on. So you start now. I think we started. The first question was like where we are with the market, and I think the part that excites me the most is that all these use cases now come to mind. They didn't come to mind like 6 months ago. They were not clear. Now everything is possible. This is really exciting to me, to us at Oasis. It really informed our product decisions, and it really informed the way we're thinking of the next step and the timing of blockchain. You know, that long story that blockchain is going to take off in 5 years. Now maybe it's come to like 2 years, and maybe like even less than that, because we're now seeing like the real adoption coming to the blockchain.
Maybe it's not here. Who's picking the questions? I'm browsing our tweets and YouTube channel to see if we got any clue.
I think there is one more, which is because we only answered the layer 1 blockchain question, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess there is one more from the audience, where with the explosion of NFTs and DeFi, so how are you guys preparing for the massive adoption of people? I guess this is honestly a great question for Veronica. I mean, she's really at the front lines of creating the wallets. I mean, that's the primary access point, right? So Veronica, you can take a stab.
Yes, as a wallet provider, we always think about the right way to push the mass adoption and user experience. So I just mentioned the things that we are doing or working on the SafePay Earn. It's a DeFi aggregator. So for NFTs, we are actively working with NFT partners, including Nicholas here, Refinable Project, and some other like Bakery and also OpenSea. We are actively working with the NFT players in the market to bring this unique NFT experience to the end users in the SafePay communities, because the users have been asking like what we are going to do with the NFT assets, not your keys, not your NFTs, and other than holding, is there any other application that we can use to grow the NFT assets or to manage the NFT fortune? So these are the unique topics that we need to look into. So for now, the best we can do is that we need to support as many kind of NFT specialized blockchains and dApps as possible. including refinable, including flow blockchain. We're also looking into that. So we are eagerly looking to bring this user experience to the users. And also, I'm very interested in the topic that Luca mentioned, that is to bring in the physical data, migrating the data from offline world or from the traditional world into the crypto space. This will be a huge, another layer of possibility for mass adoption, because talking about real estate, talking about a share of your house, a share of your artwork, a share of anything, any physical thing. It could be an NFT, a special NFT for you to hold in the wallet. This will open up a new possibility for mass adoption if we successfully migrate all this data and information to the blockchain. So this is also another topic that we internally has been discussing about, and we can't wait to see like what OSs can deliver, and we are actively looking into your progress and to see if a wallet provider can integrate this kind of solution or service into the wallet, so that every user can are able to enjoy this kind of convenience inside the wallet.
And I'd say one other thing that I found extremely exciting about this connection between like the data and the NFTs and the wallets, right? Is that, yeah, so there are, like, if you think of the world of oracles in blockchain, right, there are ways to bring the data, the off-chain data on chain, and to use them within the context of smart contracts, etc. But and by the way, this is great, and in fact, like companies like Chainlink or Teller or some other oracles are seeing momentum. The part that is actually interesting to me within the context that Veronica explained is that the wallets would possibly become everyone's banks, and that would be the origination point for like transactions, and from owning the money, from like investing your money, from participating into other financial products or protocols all over the combination of different blockchains. And so if you start thinking about this world where you have your money, your keys in your wallet, and you can integrate protocols as the wallet wants, and if the protocol is not there, you can still interoperate your money in your wallet with that certain protocol, and then you start embedding this idea that companies could start raising money under a more regulated framework than the ICO, who brought a lot of good and bad. You now start integrating these ideas, and you now start overlapping these money Legos, and so you have wallets, you have investment products, then you have investing in like new projects, startups, etc. Then you have the ability to buy tokens that represent not necessarily like pieces of ownership of a company, but maybe like royalties into the success of an early stage artist, and then you have the 1% value accrual forever for the revenue of the project via programmable token, without writing or without signing any single contract, and everything happens from the wallet as your central point. I think you start imagining like a completely different world than the one that I've been exposed to. And when you start thinking of the logics and the dynamics that this can bring, like wealth distribution, accessibility to deals, accessibility to banking system for people who don't, like, when you start thinking of all these logics, yeah, there is really like a different future that doesn't even compete with the current financial system, because those possibilities are possibilities that 99% of the people in the world don't even have, right? Even if you live in the US, in New York, like 1 meter from Wall Street, you still don't have access to a ton of opportunities. So this narrative of unbanked is even incomplete, because even if you're banked and you are in the top 5% of people in the world, like wealth-wise and income-wise and education-wise, you still don't have access to that, to a series of financial products. So this is like the biggest revolution, and yeah, places like wallets are definitely the right place where to start thinking of this as a relationship between the users and the new financial system.
Couldn't agree more.
Cool. Maybe given we're running out of time, what's the best way to stay in touch with you guys?
Yeah, I think the best way to stay in touch with the Refinable team is really on Telegram or LinkedIn. So we can definitely reconnect on email. For any updates, just Telegram and then Twitter are basically the most up to date for our team.
Yeah, for us it's for me personally, Telegram at Tim Dirksens. We don't have a Telegram group or community yet, but we do have LinkedIn and Twitter.
No Telegram.
No Telegram. Well, we also don't have a token or anything. So we're more a tech provider, B2B service. So.
But Arcane is developer oriented, right?
Yeah.
So the users are actually developers. It's mostly on GitHub, I guess.
Well, it's B2B2C, right? So the developers have a choice, as in what do they want to build? Do they want to build a white label wallet solution and build their own custody solution, or do they want to use our wallet with a single sign-on approach? So yeah. We do have 170,000 end users at the moment. So that grew from last year 3,000.
Wow. Bull run.
Yeah, but it's supporting these different game studios and different companies, right? And now with the addition of our own marketplace on top of that, we have like the two things working together. As in the companies, they say, okay, I want to integrate the Arcane wallets. And the only reason why we actually created an NFT marketplace was we were talking to OpenSea for 6 months, and we needed a marketplace to support the wallet adoption. So, and that took so long time. So at a certain moment, we just said, okay, we'll have to build our own marketplace ecosystem, and that was kind of like being lucky, because then we learned that NFTs and Matic is really booming as a layer 2 solution, and we were very quick on Matic. We've been there for a year and a half already.
Yeah, Luca, where's the best way to stay in touch with you and your and Oasis?
Yeah, we are present in every channel. I'd say Twitter, Telegram are probably the biggest ones. So we have Slack for our community, then we have Discord. So like we try to be present there. Clearly, some channels are more active than others. Like Telegram probably is the most active, Twitter as well, but the entry point is whatever. I try to stay active on Twitter as well, so I try to give updates and try to read there. So my handle is in this name of this video chat. So that's one, and then we do a lot of like events. So there is a first community town hall coming up in a week, so next Wednesday. So you can go on our Twitter and register there. That will be the first moment where we have this broader update for the community, which is very exciting. And yeah, so that's it.
Last but certainly not least, Veronica.
Yeah, we're mostly active on Telegram and Twitter. And also email. We've been handling like tons of emails lately. A lot of crypto. I have to say, in the bull market, there are so many newbies out there, and 80% or nearly 90% of the ticket that we have received are asking about like, what is private key? What happened if I lose my password, lose my seed phrase? So yeah, I personally have been struggling with all of the customer support lately. So if you want to reach out to me, probably send an email to support. I probably would be the person behind it, replying all of the tickets together with the CS team. Yeah. So mostly on Twitter and Telegram. Yeah.
I don't think you're the only one with that issue. I think CZ has made it his life's mission to revamp Binance's support model. So I think you're in good hands too. I guess apparently my doppelganger. But yeah, I guess that's it for everyone. So shall we wrap up?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice chat.
Well, wow, it was nice talking to you guys. So I guess that wraps up for this show. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Bye bye. Bye bye.